So you know that over the course of time, we've done just a tremendous amount of learning. And if you've been following things that I've been doing for Baruch Hashem here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel for the last umpteen years, whatever it is, we're trying to learn. Simple. Now here's a piece that I've been through and try to teach to other people, successfully sometimes, other times, depends on me and depends on them. So we're going to go over, this is a piece that actually was done previously. I'm going to find my pencil and get started. Hello? Pencil, pencil, pencil. Here's a pencil. Ready. So the Rav says, now once again, for those who are not familiar with this, we are reading, this is ultimately the ARI. It's actually the words of the ARI Kodesh. What he's talking about is something that most people really are not tuned into. But those of us who are looking beyond this world, is a great place to look. Now we're talking about Olam HaKodim. This is the fifth parak. This is the final parak. All the lights go back, but when they come back, the keser doesn't join them. It stays in the mouth of Ak. B'chazaras or ha-chochma asa betishos kafulos. So when the or ha-chochma comes back, it makes different kinds of double strikings. Hatam b'zel. So what does that mean? The light starts coming back. Keser stays in the pad da'ak, but the chochma, as it's coming out, it's going to have two distant strikings. So we're going to read down below, really, and try to get through this in reasonable amount of time. So the Rav writes, the black print is a Rav, and the light print is the Tivuk Avonos, is Rabbi Gamliel Rabinowitz, also known as, he says his real name is Rappaport, HaKohen, who is teaching. Amnam Acher Kabbalas Eloch Spheros Minam Atzel Chaza the Makomam. So after all of the spheros go back to the matzel, they start going back to their original positions. Chutz min the keser kanizgar la'el, except for the keser, which is mentioned up above. Baz kli shal the keser lo na'asa rak b'chazaras ha'chochma, so that only comes back the keser. He says, as kli shal the keser lo na'asa rak b'chazaras ha'chochma. So you only have a kli when the light of chochma comes back into the kli of keser. Because as the chochma comes back and it enters into that kli, as hicha or hachokma b'rishimo shechanicha kesed b'bekoma, because as we said before, it says that as the lights leave, though, and this is a fact that the Sulam says this, there's nothing missing in ruchnius. If something was there, it's still there. What aspect of it is called a rishimo? His phrase is ein heder b'ruchnius. So he says, Gavarn is bar ki kol ha-sfira nigmaruchu kaleki lechem be'ez aliyasem alamatzel. So all the sephiras become, their kalim become complete be'ez aliyasem alamatzel when they go back into the pad da'ak. Ki b'derek aliyasem hoyim maka orcha b'rshimel shal the-sefira be'orcha chozer shal the-sefira chal yana b'menem. Let me get a little drink here. Maybe it'll clear up my throat a little bit better. 1 second. Okay. So he says, because when the things strike each other, they produce in the tzutos. Nigbach HaKli, that completes the Kli. Aka Keser Shalo Kibel or Choser, so but the Keser, which did not receive the or Choser, commotion is boyer la'el b'kedei sheyakir b'or ha'rishimo shalo, in order that you should be able to see the rishimo that's in it. Log Nigbach HaKli shalocha b'chaliyas ha'oraz, then his Kli is not finished when the lights go up. Now all of the lights go back to the pad da'ak. and they're all now complete, clear with lights. Now they all start going back down. So now when they spread out again in this second coming out, there was this light of Chochmah that came out of the mouth. That it wanted to go up. And from this way, the Kli of the Keser is completed. So it's only completed at the second hispashtos. Like in all the rest of the spheros. So it says Vohoya Kos Kufulos, but the Kos are really double. So in Keser, the Rishima that's left over inside of the Kli of Keser is a higher level than the Chochmah that's going to come into it. So therefore it strikes the Chochmah and brings out Netzutzos. So now the Chochmah, with it being up above, Nimsa Omed al Rishimo, therefore we find that it's standing on the Rishima, V'hu Gavoa Mimeno, and it's higher than it. Makabo Rishima V'yotza Netzutzos Achera, so it hits then the Rishimo, and it causes other Netzutzos to come out. Kasher Chochmah in the past suggests the light of Chochmah comes out of the mouth now, because we said that the light of Keser doesn't come back. V'niknas el toch Kli HaKeser, and it goes inside of the Kli of Keser. Shesham koyach Rishimo de Keser, that which was lodged there, the Rishimo of Keser. Shehishir be'ez shekniknas chazar bepeh da'ak, that would stay there as the light came back to the peh of Na'ak. So what happened is that they come together, nifkashu, or Rishima the Keser be'or ha'chochma. Now they're together. These lights strike each other back and forth. So the netzutzas came out of the chochma, shehi sfira tachtonim in the Keser, which is a lower element than Keser, lower sfira. But now, since the Chochmah goes out from the peh besod or yosher, because it's going straight down, and it's up above, physically up above the Keser, but Derek Elyon is Gavra Latachton, and even though its light is not as strong, let's say, as the essence of the Rishimo, but it's coming from up on top of it. Before the Rishimo struck the Chochmah, now the Chochmah strikes the Rishimo. Shel HaKeser. Then you have another set of sparks come out of that, Gam Min HaKeser, so also from Keser. So therefore what you're going to do here now is you're going to make two different kelim. Echad the Rishima Shel HaKeser, one will be for the Rishima of Keser, Ve'echad the Chochmah Shebo Ata, and another one for the Chochmah that came now. So you have two different Rishimos. Let me see it again. There's two different kelim. Echad the Rishima Shel HaKeser, Ve'echad the Chochmah Shebo Ata. So it added a new sphera. So where he says in Shar Atek, Perak Base, he says, how in fact that comes out, that Keser really has two qualities to it. One quality is Dacher, well, the other male, one part is female. And these are the two that we're talking about here. One, he said, is male and female. One is going to be the Rishima. The other one is going to be the Chochmah V'ayin Sham Heitiv. If you go over there, you look into it really carefully, you might learn something. So we're not doing that right now. Bekevin sheyesh kol ze betishus kefulos keser b'chochma b'keser. Nimsa shebekli hakeser yesh shnei mini nitzutza. So then keser has two different qualities, two different types of sparks. Shenafla mishnei hakol shel rishima, that came as a result of the two different kinds of akos that we saw between the rishima the keser b'or hachochma, the shel or chochma rishima the keser. And mehem naase beis kalim, and from them therefore you now have two kalim. V'ofen shachakli ha'echod kul the rishima shel keser, in the way like this, that the one kli is the rishima of keser, v'akli hasheni is the kli who lo'or ha'chochma sheba ata b'his pashtus hashniya. Shnei mini kalim halalu. So these two different types of kalim, hem l'stor shnei chelki hakeser, which are in fact shehem b'bechinas dacher v'nuk shebekeser. Mikan v'hala ad sof shar zeh, hu ka'ayin hakdama b'pesicha d'shacha b'ba, shu shar nekudim, kavanas arav, the hashbos, ma hadimyon shal olam hakudim. So he wants to try to equivocate, I don't know, make equal, ma hadimyon shal olam hakudim, the olam. How do you compare them? There is something in common with it. What are the parts that really belong to both of them? And these are the roots to be able to understand the next shar, which is called the shar nekudim. So from here he writes, and this is the Rav writing now. From here we're able to understand there is some aspect here of the nullification of the malachim in some way. Now we haven't really learned about that yet, about the death of the kings, so we have to find out. This is a big part of Kabbalah. And that's what they're called, the kings that ruled in the land of Edom. That died and were completely nullified. His almos, so the concept of hiding light, the light which is hidden of the kudim, as they go back into the ma'atzel, the light stops shining so much. It's very similar to the concept, says the Rav, of the bittul, the nullification of the malachim that we're going to see later on. The Holon bevar harav shala'achshir yatza oris ozin chotim pes, and later on the Rav is going to say like this: there are lights that are going to come out of the rosh of Ak. These lights are going to come out from the oros, the ozin of the ears, the nose, and the mouth. So let me see. He didn't say mouth here yet. Shiyatza oros ozin chotim. V'chein olam ha'akudim with mepeh da'ak, which comes out of the mouth. This is called the ozin chotim peh da'ak. And this pashto ad tibur shalo, and they spread into his tibur. Yatza oros olam ha'akudim. So then we see that the lights of the kudim come out of the eyes, min ha'anayim da'ak. So it's not the ears, it's not the nose, it's not the mouth. There's going to be an eyes that are light that's going to come out of the eyes. These are two different aspects that refer to the lights which are called tamim, which is the highest level. I think it's a level of a sound wave that is in a very high level of how we understand these waves coming our direction. It's difficult to understand, but this is what these upper tamim are about. Shahar Kuvarn is bar sheyesh tamim elyonim v'tamim nemseim v'tamim tachtainim. Amen the orish yatzach min ha'anayim da'ak, but the lights that come out of the ak. Look, let's take ak and let's take our head and let's think about it. We have ear, nose, and mouth. Okay, now we're going to say that that's referring to the upper light, which is called the light of the tamim. Heim Eine Bechinas Tamim, they're not exactly Tamim, that is, the lights that come out of the eyes or something else, Ele Bechinas Nekudos. Remember, we had the concept that we're introduced to of Tanta. Leficho V'cheim Nekroim B'Shem Olam HaNekudim. V'sham Ba'olam HaNekudim, Choser Shevei B'Sekelim. That's the subject we talked about before. Pirush Kasher Niknas Ha'oros B'Kelim. So we say like this, as the lights go into the Kelim, Lo Choya B'Kochem Lizvol as Godel Oros. It couldn't handle all that light. So we're going to see this is what's going to come down. V'nish B'Rocha B'Kelim, and as a result, the vessels that were to hold the light, V'naflo L'Olam HaBriya, they broke, and they fell into Olam HaBriya, which was created as a result of the break. Shviras HaKelim B'Choyse B'Chinas Misa, then when they broke, that is death. It's the same thing as if a person is alive and he's gone. He's not coming back. His neshama rises above and he's gone. Same idea. So they go back to their root. So similar to the lower man, which is his light, the light of his chiyus. Mistalekes begufa, it leaves his body, and it gives to the God which gave it. And the body, which is the kli, nishar below oros, it remains without light. It's dead. And you bury it down underneath the earth, from above anything that's coming up. That's what you call death. So this is where you find that, and he gives the site reference here. Let me see if I can move this back some way. The site reference here, and let's see, how do I do this exactly? No, that's the wrong way. This is the right way. So he says, so because there is we're going to die the Sheva Malachim, a Ramazach of the Sheva Sephiros Atachton Shemesu, which is a reference to the 7 lower Sephiros, that died. So there you had this double death. It's similar, Bechinas Misa, Apa Olam HaKudim. You have something similar also in Olam HaNekudim. He says HaKudim. Behind the Sha'oras HaKudim, Shehoyab Dechidach HaBezoch HaKelim, which was originally inside of the light, Nistalko V'Nis'al Lamal. So the same process of the light leaving a kli and going back up to its root. He says, where are we here? He says, Etzel Ma'atzel, next to the matzel, another near the matzel, or into the matzel. And what is the matzel in this case? It's the Pada'ak. Bezos call you remes v'shorish l'mash asi l'hiyos achakach. So this is really the root. This is a hint to what's going to happen later on. But b'chinas sheviris ba'olam ha'nekudim. Rak she'ba'olam ha'nekudim, hamisa choyse behelim gadol. But there, you don't really see the concept of death. It's very, very hidden. So we're going to do one more, and then let's see what I could do here. Okay. So number lamed, because I'm going to have to take a break. Number lamed is still part of this. So what we've learned here, we're going to learn. It's going to be explained in the Olam HaNekudim. Inyan Hatanta. Over there, we're going to understand a little bit more about the concept of Tamim, Nekudas, Tagim, and Osius. How did they teach you about the death of the Malachim? B'sham Tavin, and also from there you also understand Gam Kain Mitziyusim Kan Ba'olam HaKudim. So what also is the reality of what's happening to them in Olam HaKudim? Dog V'Tishkach. Get into it, you'll find it. He said, V'hindech HaKashem Sheba'olam HaKudim Yesh Remez Nadalda B'chinas Tanta. So just as we saw that and we talked about, there's a remez to the different aspects of Tanta. Kafi Shiavoy Lukaman, and we're going to explain this more. B'shahar Nekudim. Sheyesh Dalad Mini Oros. Now, what is it? There are 4 different types of lights. Shehem or Keser Keneged Tamim. V'chein Chochma Keneged Nekudas. That is, the or of Chochma corresponds to the concept of Nekudos. The or of Bina is Tagim, and the Vor Zat refers to the letters. Now he didn't say Malchus; he said letters. Letters is Malchus. Letters is the receptacle of the light that's coming through those paths. And Mavor Harab Sham Od Mini Halukos. So the Var also explains other different types of differentiation. Shel Oris Betanta. V'hem al zu haderech yesh gam kein bechinas tanta. So in this way, there's also an aspect of tanta ba'olam hakudim. Sha'ana oskim bo that we're dealing with now. V'hem before b'shachar nekudim b'perek vo b'zel l'shona. V'hina ba'olam hakudim. Gavar is bar bechinas tamim. We've already explained the aspects of tamim, v'hanakudos and the different nakudos, the tagim and the osios, the shebahan adkan the shono. Because ukushem shom choya shviris akedim, kach ba'olam hakudim. Choya bechinas shviris and the kudim. Shvira, there is an aspect of shvira that the lights leave the kelim. Shvira b'daka be'elam gadol. We're going to stop right here. And we'll continue. There'll be a two-part share here, and we'll get to it as soon as possible.